Welcome to Talks with Petri show. I'm your host Petri. Today we have a serial entrepreneur and angel investor Niels Bosma with us from Sweden. Welcome, Niels.
Thank you.
Do I see a sauna in the background?
Yeah, it's I work out of my cabin that I have here close to my house. So I have this as my office and sauna.
So you just prepare to everything, what's happening in the world, in the Europe at the moment. So you're already sort of in the hiding.
Yeah, not really. It's I live quite close to Stockholm, but my wife is a bit of a prepper, so we're quite prepared.
Why should you leave as a co-founder early in the company's growth?
Good question. I think companies have different stages. So you have the scale-up phase, you have you have the product market fit phase, then you have the scale-up phase, and then you have sort of a maintain phase. And I think for each phase requires different skill sets. And for me, I think I excel at the first phase, the scale-up, the product market fit phase. And there's a totally different type of people that are good at when you're scaling up. It's more about, as a founder or a management, it's more about building a management team and taking the things that you have discovered in the product market fit phase and just doing more of the same. So I think for me in my companies, I this is something I learned that I really enjoy the first part. That's where my talents are best put. It's also I'm very driven by like learning new things. So it's really what keeps me happy. So and that first phase is really a lot about learning about the domain, about the company. That's and many founders they don't they think that they have to stay too long, that it's in the interest of the company. But if you're good at knowing when to leave and you design the organization for it, it might actually be good for the company to leave early. If it's you shouldn't just leave out of the blue, but you should plan for it. If it can take a year or something like that. Yeah.
I also understood that you still hold the stocks in the company, so you're not actually exiting. You're just scaling yourself off from the company and let other people take your position, and then you move on.
Yeah, I mean the companies that I've co-founded, I mean it's still my baby, and I still care about them, and so even though my latest company Tessin, we IPO'd a year ago, I still hold those shares, and I still work there a few days a week, and I think. Like I try to work so that like titles are not that important. So I don't have to be the CTO, the CMO, or like I as a founder, you have still quite a lot of influence. So right now I'm, for example, not part of the management team or the board or anything like that, but I'm still hang around and help out with questions and stuff, but gradually moving over to my next project. It's called Filestar.
And you went also to Product Hunt with that. I think that was late last year, and you were so excited about it. Can you tell something, how it went and what is the latest company you're having?
Yeah, so Filestar is a file automation software. It's very different from the companies I co-founded previously. Those companies were very Sweden-based. The customers were in Sweden or in the Nordics. So I wanted to do something more software-based and international, and I wanted to build a SaaS company. And I always been like a productivity nerd, so I really didn't like those type of software, like Zapier and Airtable and things. And I've really wanted to have something similar to Zapier, but oriented around files. Where
can you explain to people what is Zapier or IFTTT, if this then that?
Yeah, so it's an automation software. You can build without any programming skills. You can build flows. So based on a trigger, for example, when you receive your file is uploaded to Google Drive, you can then have that as a trigger and automatically maybe send an email or do something else. Send it to Slack, for example. A lot of flows that I built in Zapier is based on Slack. You can very easily automate things and without any coding skills. And coding is usually quite expensive. So with Zapier, you can try out pretty advanced flows. If you are testing some new idea for some kind of growth hack or something like that, it's very easy to do with Zapier. And then when it matures, and you can decide to code it yourself. I was really inspired by that. And Zapier is 100% cloud based. The triggers are always something that happens outside of your computer. But I wanted something similar to that, but based on really what happens on your computer, and more centered around files. So the idea started with the ambition that you should be able to just select the file and then, as easy as possible, just tell the computer do this with the file. So it could be like a conversion or compression or split, merge, transform, or anything like that. And then when you have that, you should also be able to piece together skills into, similar to Zapier, into flows. So let me give you an example that in Filestar you can say, I have a PDF and I want it to split up the PDF in separate pages. But then now you can also build what we call a recipe. So you can split it up and then you can say, then zip it up and then send it as an email. And that is a recipe, and the recipes are like, we try to keep it very simple. You mentioned if this then that, which is a very similar service to Zapier, which is like Zapier can become quite complicated. It's a lot of you have to have quite a lot of computer skills still to really fully utilize Zapier. But if this and that is similar, but it's a lot simpler. It's like one trigger and one action. And we try to design Filestar to be very similar to if this and that. Very simple. Like my mother should be able to use it. It should be very intuitive. The interface grows with how you use it. So if you are a more advanced user, the interface grows. So when you build these recipes, which is really like just a flow of skills, then you can tie it to different automation processes. So you can, for example, create a smart shortcut on your desktop. So you just drop the file that you want to do on that icon. You can create a smart folder that when you just drop the file in the folder, it will do those steps. So if you drop a PDF, it will then, for that recipe, split up and do those actions that you want to take. We're working on some really cool feature where you can actually create a smart printer. So if you have, for example, really why I designed it is I created that software. It's a software that I want myself. That usually tends to become a good product. And what I really hate with entrepreneurship is handling my receipts.
Oh, you mean the expense receipts?
Yeah, expense receipt. And especially if you're like, I used to be the CMO at Tessin, and you have this company like marketing credit card. Everything today is credit card based. So you have like Google ads transactions and Facebook transactions and yeah, you name it. It could be like 50, 80 receipts that you have to hunt down. And
yeah, and I hate it, at least in Mac, when you have a long receipt and it doesn't actually make it like A4. It's just like weirdly just merging those two pages together, and when you see them in preview and stuff, and they always not in line and aligned and whatnot. So
yeah,
it's always a mess.
So I mean, nowadays it's a little bit easier because most accounting software you just send in, like email in the receipt, and then you have to, in the software, you have to match it to the right line item. But still, you have to log into the to example Facebook, find the receipt, and then download it as a PDF, and then create an email, and then upload it again. It's still too many steps. So
the funny thing is that, sorry to interrupt, I think IFTT is using Stripe as their payments, but it's the same thing with them. I don't think I can do. I think I checked, but I couldn't. I have to go to their website every time they send me an email. I have to go there. I have to find, okay, is it the invoice or the receipt? And I have to click it, and I have to put it there every month. I kind of just, they just cannot put it to the right folder immediately. So, yeah, I think I need IFTT and your product in order to do that.
Yeah. Well, with my product, you will be able to go to the receipt and just print it out. And instead of printing it out, it would actually create a PDF and send it to your the email of your accounting software. So it's a little bit easier. I'm removing a few steps. So that's really what Filestar is. It's an automation software based around the things you need to do with files.
Apple is, by the way, doing with shortcuts really good stuff as well. So you can do amazing stuff with your mobile phone if you know how to do it. It's actually quite a complex stuff you can do.
Yeah.
The only thing which is missing, I'm missing at least, is in the Mac OS on the computer side, is that you cannot do some automations like time-based or trigger-based. You can only manually trigger them at this point, and that's sort of a down.
Well, you have the previous the successor. Not the successor. They had Automator.
Automator,
which can do some really advanced stuff.
Yeah, with
and I'd say Filestar is very similar to Automator. And but we're actually porting Filestar to Mac. That's what we're doing right now. So we'll compete with them. And I say our edge is going to be that we're going to be more file centered. So we're gonna, like, we support over 800 file types right now. We have like 60,000 different skills. So we will.
So you're going back to the 70s.
What do you mean?
I mean that really like the Commodore 64 files.
Yeah, but you know that every year there's new file types invented. So a lot of the files that our customers ask us to support are file types that are invented like last 5 years. Like Hike, for example, is a file format that Apple decided to store the camera photos in.
No.
And for a long time it was very difficult to convert them.
And another thing, I hope you'll do that. If not, this is an official request. Whenever you do recording, just with the QuickTime Pro, for example, just a quick thing you can do with Mac with the software, all the computers come with. You hit the recording with the video, it will be a MOV file. And you don't want to send MOV file because that's basically Mac thing, so you want to send it as an MP4 file as the container. And I still haven't found an easy way to just do that simple conversion.
Well, then you have Filestar. We support MOV and MP4. You have to wait though until the Mac version is released. It's going to be released in a few weeks. But yeah, that's something that you can create a smart folder, and then anything you drops in that will be converted into MP4. And if you have always send it to the same email address, you can configure that as well. So yeah, the Filestar is the product for you.
So how did you start the marketing side of things? You went to Product Hunt, and how do you make people to know that it's existing, and what's the strategy, growth hacking side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I've been interested in growth hacking for a long time, and like we done a lot of things in previous startups around.
Yeah, you've been doing this like 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should probably go a bit further, also back later on this episode, so people understand that this is not your first ride.
Yeah, sure. But now in terms of growth hacking for Filestar, we've done. I have a quite long background in SEO, search engine optimization. I created a tool called SeoTools for Excel.
.com.
.com, yeah. It's a tool for growth hacking, but it's based on it's a plugin for Excel. So and Excel is really useful for if you have you don't have the programming skills, but you're kind of technical, you're good at Excel, then there's a lot of things you can do when you work operational with growth hacking. It can become kind of data intense, especially SEO is there's a lot of massaging data back and forth. So Excel is really good as a tool for that. But anyway, with the background of creating that tool, a lot of my digital marketing skills is based on SEO. So I like to have that as a component in my growth engine. So Filestar really is like part of the business idea is the concept of a skill. So let's say a simple skill could be like convert a MOV to an MP3. And so for each of the skills that we of course have a landing page with geared towards someone searching for that. So yeah, we have 50,000 of these landing pages, and so we've made it very simple to create the skills as just like production wise and distribute it. So when we just push that code into our system, we automatically create the landing page. We create a screenshot of that actual feature being used. We create automated YouTube videos. So with code, we create YouTube videos with music and logos, and
Wow.
It looks like a person is using that actual tool. And YouTube is actually I think it still is the second largest search engine in the world. So we get loads of traffic from YouTube, just people searching for how do I rotate a PDF, or how do I
So basically are you saying that for every feature and function you do, you make a video out of it, or you just somehow select which ones? Or do you need to do some kind of script, Excel script that, this is what's going to happen, or how do you, I'm just curious, how do you actually generate
So
this?
YouTube only allows you to upload 5 videos a day, so we're limited to that. So of course we have analyzed what are the most valuable keywords. But yeah, I mean, when we check in the code into our system, it 100% automatically created the video and uploads it. So it's a simple video with music and a pre-roll with the logo, and then we kind of fake it so it looks like somebody is using Filestar, so it's really recording a real computer with the Filestar software being used, but the mouse is just triggered by a mood with code. So yeah, it actually happens for real on the computer, but it's just screen recorded and all done with code. So I mean, it would be impossible for us to be able to create. I think we have 1,500 videos now, and it would not be possible, or at least not very fun, to create those videos manually. So we try to automate as much as possible to really take the value out of the long tail. So yeah, that's part of the business model, to really get a lot of cheap traffic. I did initially some search analysis for like the keywords that are related to our business, and it's a huge market. People that are searching for these type of different conversions, so simple things they want to do with the file. And for us, it's very easy to convince a person to like, this is the way you should do it. We try to keep it very clean. A lot of the competitions are like shady Russian, online services with lots of ads, and you don't know where your files are going or things like that. So,
and what are you getting?
Yeah, exactly. So, for us, there's not like a large brand that's taken this space yet, and we are trying to be that brand. So yeah, we were talking about the growth hacks. I think I can also mention, like, we've managed to our skills, they actually market themselves. So our AdWords accounts is fully automated as well. So when I push in a new skill, it automatically creates a whole AdWords campaign just for that skill. And so we try to work very data driven. Like, also the skills that we select to develop is apart from customer feedback, we base our backlog 100% on just data that we can get from different sources. Yeah, there's a bunch of cool things that we do. We also, for example, we monitor 20 of the biggest blogs or question and ask forums, like Quora, for example. And if someone asks for something like, how do I do this? We have a monitor for that, and then so we get noticed in Slack, and then we can go in, and that's a very, it's easy for us to get a lot of link juice. But yeah, we have a bunch of different monitors for things so that we can react on. If someone on Reddit says something like, how do I do this conversion from X to Y, and we maybe don't have it yet, but we can be really fast and create a solution, push it out, and in a few hours we can just rely, we just added this. And the software is not a monolith. It's when you download Filestar, it's completely empty, and then based on what you used, we patch the software. So it's you always have, like, your files always stays on your computer. It never leaves. All the processing is done on your computer, but the software evolves as you use it. So it's very easy for us to distribute the small packages with updates, and it's a whole distribution engine in behind.
You mentioned earlier when we were discussing what we're going to talk about here today that you were Chief Marketing Officer and CTO, and you really think that these go together, and it's like the early days of a startup, and obviously, what you just mentioned, it so nicely, merges. So you need to do a bit of coding, you need to understand that part about the marketing is not separate. And I haven't heard and seen that too much, that usually it's like there's a marketing and then there's the coding, and sometimes they talk nicely to each other, but seldom they are the same person.
Yeah, marketing nowadays has evolved to be very technical. If you want to excel at marketing, I mean, you still have all the traditional parts. You have to build a brand and that sort of thing. But just like the ad buying, or just how to, like, before you just like what you call it, you just buy some ads and then hope for the best, right? But now with especially for startup, you can choose to focus on performance-based marketing, where you can really measure. So you only focus on marketing that you can measure in the beginning, because in the beginning as a startup you have so many choices with how to market yourself. So if you choose the performance-based type of marketing, then you can build yourself a playbook. So if you, like at Tessin, we have tracked like every spent krona exactly on like how much, like what did we get, what was the source, and build up a whole database with all our marketing spending. And we can, like, for every click that ever clicked on something that we paid for, we can track, did they invest in a real estate project or something, and then that data becomes very valuable. You can use it for if the CEO says we have to do a big marketing campaign now because we need to achieve this, then you get to go back to your playbook and just say, okay, we do some of that and some of that and some of that, we don't do that, and it's easy to get the results that you like, to predict the result in advance. So you know how much a new user costs, for example, and where, like, what kind of bang for the buck you get. And it's a huge help also when you are negotiating. Like, some ads are still bought by negotiating with a salesperson or something like that. So just, I think that's any startup going into marketing, just have the idea of like tracking, put up a system to track every spent krona down to the like last minute. And then as the company grows, then you can go beyond performance based marketing. But as a small company, that's really, really important.
What's your take on the organic marketing versus giving money to Facebook and Google's in the beginning? Do you first need to experiment and test that it works, and then you can boost it with paid marketing?
It depends. Depends on the, of course, on the product that you're trying to market. If you're lucky, you have a business model that benefits from organic. Filestar, for example, benefits a lot from organic. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of keywords, and the keywords are not high value. I mean, some keywords can cost like $100 just to click for one click. They're really crazy keywords. But when I go into a new case, or when I advise other startups, I say that you should be open-minded. You have maybe 50 different tactics or channels that you can try to buy. And you should try to test each channel as cheap as possible. So maybe like for Tessin, we were able to test the channel with as low as €2,000 and gather that data, and that'd be enough to say if it's worth it or not. So you should not have like so in the beginning we thought like, okay, so Tessin, it's a financial company, and we work with real estate investments, and we had a bias like, I'm a Facebook, it's not going to work. Like, nobody's going to like click on an ad on Facebook to invest in real estate. But yeah, like by just having the mentality of testing each of the channels, we figured out that Facebook actually is really good. And you can't only focus on one channel. You have to have a mix of things. So if you if you spend money on AdWords or on banners or any other channels, that can boost your organic side as well. So it's in the end, when you really analyze if you're good or not at it, you should compare all your spending with all your results, and that's really the end score. But yeah, I mean, the thing with organic, it can take quite a long time. So let's say you're going to start with SEO today. You're not going to see the results tomorrow. It can take up to 6 months or even more. So it's something that you, and with that said, you should actually start with organic as soon as possible, and make sure that your website has what we call the on-page SEO. That is like the search engines can really crawl your whole website, and so you can gradually grow the organic side. But it's not going to give you results immediately, but over time it's going to become a valuable asset. So make sure that you start early. Let's say you have an idea for a new company, and make sure you have the domain and have the domain out there. Just put up something, some kind of like we are going to start this, and have some article with relevant keyword. Just like anything in SEO it has to mature.
What has changed when you started to check the SEO space? I think it was because of one of your projects, and you need it, and then the SeoTools for Excel came as a result of that as well. So what's working now? What's cutting edge now versus the things which were working before? Because there's also been changes with Google, Apple, the privacy things, and the weighting has been changing with algorithms as well.
Yeah, I mean, it has become a lot more difficult to get good results in SEO. Google, of course, has their ambition to first that you should preferably buy ads than just get free traffic. So they've changed their algorithm some, and how they like where the ads are put, and that changes a lot of things. There are also a lot of more competition, like all companies trying to compete, which makes it more difficult. Google has become a lot better at, like, there's you have this white hat, black hat SEO, and Google has become a lot better at not giving credit to the shady tactics, which I think is a good thing. They have done a lot of things that makes the web better, I think. So yeah, and I've never been very interested in the black side of SEO, because the tactics that you use are quite boring. It's a lot about creating spammy content and spammy links and that sort of thing. So for me, as like a SEO strategy, is mainly I focus a lot on creating quality content. So content creation, I think, still is the best way, and just create things that people enjoy to read, and also make sure that your website, of course, is optimized for the indexing robots. But
in regards to the content, question: quality versus quantity.
I think in the long run, I think quality is better than quantity. Google is getting, again here, better and better at figuring out if it's good content or bad content. And it also has a little bit like how do you want to be as a person? I mean, do I enjoy creating a lot of like spammy content? Like for me, it's no fun at all. Like setting up shady websites and not shady, but just spammy they add no value to the user, and I think in the end you're just going to be penalized for it. So yeah.
Yeah, there's also the other aspect of it. If you're not going to the spammy side at all, but it's like, should I do just one really good video like once a month, or should I do every day something? And it's not so high production value. Of course, it needs to be still useful. But it's like, should I just focus on a few things? Like, previously companies were doing these trailers or TV ads, and that was like a high cost thing. You put a lot of money into it, and then it's like a boof, you're out of budget, and if it doesn't work, then it works. Or should you just keep on doing a lot of stuff and experiment, and then something will come out of it, and people just love something?
I think you should do great quality content, but you should produce it as cheap as possible. So let's say, for example, if you're a company, you can create a podcast, and you try to like one of our best marketing tactics at Tessin was actually to create a podcast of our own, and we had help from a podcasting company that we had sponsored their podcast for a few years, and then we wanted them to create a podcast for us, and so we were the ones that were recruiting the interviewees, I guess it calls, and we also made sure that the interviews was held at our office. So we were in the real estate business, so we invited a lot of interesting people from the real estate space. We made them come to us. Like how do you get a person to like you? Well, you ask them to talk about themselves and ask them a lot of questions. So just having them do the interview at us, they kind of saw that, okay, this is Tessin. They created a small relationship with Tessin, and we also tried to when we chose the guests, especially in the beginning, we chose guests based on their social media presence. So like if you got on interviewed and you're quite likely to share it and spread it, and we made sure to I think also when you're creating content, you should be quite regular. You should, like, if you're releasing once a month, you should try to keep that. That's I don't know why, but it's a bit important rule to stay to have. Like, if you always say you're going to release on a Friday, then always release on a Friday. It's also the same applies to like newsletters and things. I'll try to be consistent. But the whole thing with the podcast was like create high quality, but it should not take too much time. So like the interview, like the recruiting things, we had the students doing that, and we had outsourced the company to do the actually cutting and interview stuff. And then, like, if you create one piece of content, you can like what we made sure that we also took the transcripts and so that was part of the deal from the company, that they created a transcript so that becomes a nice blog post, and that is a good search engine food. And I think that's really a good tip to, like, when you create content, try to use it for more things. For example, if you work with PR and you create this really nice PR piece that you are pushing to journalists, maybe they pick it up or maybe they don't, but you can like try to reuse that content for other things, because you paid for it, and then you can you should make the most value out of it. So that maybe can become like a blog post or something later. Same thing with like native advertisement. Like you put a lot of money in creating the content, but then try to reuse it. So it can go from like a PR to blog post to newsletter. So to summarize, create like high quality content, but don't pay the price for it. Try to automate as much as possible. Try like have a process of creating this content, so it's not consumes you too much. So both worlds.
Sounds like an IKEA plan.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces you put together cheaply, but it kind of works and it's still good quality. What is open source intelligence and how can you use that in a growth hacking situation?
Yeah. I kind of like you have these streaks of you're hanging around on YouTube and you get really interested in a specific topic, and then you just look at that type of topic.
And then you go deep dive, and after 4 hours you come back.
Yeah, but like I can have for weeks. I can have like there's a like primitive technology, a half-naked guy going around the forest and just building stuff with his hands. That's one of those deep dives I've done for a few weeks. But yeah, I don't like
nothing to do with the geopolitics.
No. But yeah, for quite some time I was really interested in just like internet security, computer security, and there's a whole space with that, of course, on YouTube. And there's a YouTuber, his name is John Hammond, and he does these kind of capture the flag exercises where somebody put up a computer and he tries to hack it, and it's very informative and yeah. So and within the field of penetration testing or security, there is a subfield called open source intelligence, which is really like what kind of information can you get about a subject or a company from open data sources. It can be paid data sources, but it's like it's data that you can get that like without doing anything illegal, no hacking stuff like that. It's just like how can you acquire that as much data as possible about a subject. And so it's very interesting, and this is a whole field, and they have a bunch of tools that they use to within this field. And I just realized like these tools can actually also be very useful for growth hacking. These like the tools and the methodology and the mindsets and things. So let's say you're a company that sells a product, and then you ask like, what is your target audience? Like, who do you like? Let's say you're selling a thing to, and your typical customers is the CMO of a company that, like, would it be useful to have the contact details of all the CMOs in all of Stockholm, for example? I think most companies, they can sit and just like ask themselves that question, like what would be the ultimate lead list, like some people that are in the market or things like that. And that's something you do as a startup. You create some kind of lead engine, like how can we intelligently get leads and leads that are as rich as possible with contact details and everything. So I just realized like that, because that's something I've been doing for all of my companies, building these leads engines that try to, from a huge set of potential customers, just figure out who is really in the market. And yeah, so I just realized like these are the tools that are available for OSINT. Those are exactly the tools that I need, and some of them are we're using. Those techniques are very, very useful for creating your lead engine.
Is there some concrete tip you can give, or some example which is really concrete, something you can straight away do after listening to this podcast?
But first of all, just like in an unbiased way, just like if I had this, like this list of potential customers, what would it be? And then, because a lot of things with growth hacking, and it's mostly about the mindset, like anything is possible. I just need to figure out why. So just have that mindset to figure out, like, okay, if I had this list, but then of course it's not only about having like the list of potential, because you also need to figure out how you're gonna approach them, like because today is it's not as easy today as just sending an email. You're not gonna get any customers like that. So you have to also in part of this process figure out how to approach people. But yeah, I think about the list, like who is my ideal customer. Then you should figure out how can I get that list, and then there's where OSINT comes in, and then figure out how to what is the best way for me to approach it. So what we do, for example, at Tessin, we built our own growth engine, leads engine we call it. So it's based on a few open data sources that we. And it's based on a few very expensive paid data sources, and then we have this an algorithm approach to get all this data, mash it together, and from that sort we get leads, and then we
Does
have
it do YouTube videos as well?
Sorry.
Does it do YouTube videos as well?
No, that does not do YouTube videos, but for example, then we have a student that comes in and just massages the data, the contact data, and then those leads are fed into our CRM system. So one of our sales transaction from the transaction team, they get like really high quality leads. So we're in the construction space, so like in the detailed view they see like what is this customer building right now, what has media said about this customer in the last media. So any data that like any prospecting data that they can find, they get presented with there. So when they call, they can make a really like a warm call. They can say, oh, I saw your ad in this like local newspaper, or where I see that you can. So just try to. I don't think salespeople should do prospecting. That should be done with code. So try to figure out like how can you set up a pipeline like that, and it doesn't have to be very complicated, but it's just like how to automate it as much as possible. And then you can do some like fun things with it. I've been really interested in gamification, so I've done some fun things with that. We like our sales team. There's the best leads are the ones that comes from the website, and also from within the organization. So like customer service maybe get a good lead or something like that. So we've set up a system where so if I have a lead that I want to give to the sales team, I email it to a certain email address, and what happens is that starts in Slack an auction. So every day they get a couple of credits, and the amount of credits you get is based on how many like activity, or like we reward people that do a lot of activity. They get a little bit more credits, and then they actually have a small 5-minute auction where they can bid in Slack to get that lead, and the highest bidder they get, then the email gets automatically routed to them. So fun things like that. I think it's fun to make it. And initially the sales team was a bit skeptical, but then after a while they found it was really fun. And it also makes it kind of democratic, because otherwise the sales manager, he has to route the different leads. So we've done a lot of things like that. We also, the leads from the leads engine, you actually buy them in packages. So in Slack you can say buy leads, and then So you buy them in packs of 10, and it has a daily supply and demand price. So it goes up and down. But
so what's the currency? What is it? What do you know? How can you buy them?
It's just
out of your salary.
credit. No. It's the credits that you get every day. That the sales manager can of course override it all and just say like give 100 leads to this person. But yeah. So it's but I've open sourced the system. So you want to set up something similar yourself. It's on GitHub. But yeah, it was a fun hack. Not really related to growth hacking, but yeah, it was fun.
Well, while we had the gamification, you've been doing that also in the culture building. Can you give some examples and ideas?
Yeah, I think from my I've been part of a few startups and I've realized how important culture is. So in the last company, Tessin, we really focused on building a strong culture and yeah.
So how many people you have in Tessin at the moment? So to give a bit of background.
It was 40, something like that. We have an office in Finland as well, a small office, so 40-ish.
And you were starting in 2014 or around that time?
So I mean the culture thing in Tessin, maybe it's not really we haven't done much gamification around the culture thing. I mean the Slack auction thing, that's kind of culture thing, and we've done some like and that's just mostly for fun, but I built I experimented a lot with like at Tessin, the company before Tessin was Offerta, and we shared office with like we had rented a big office and then we shared it out to other smaller companies just to share the costs. But we were kind of responsible, and when you share office with a lot of different companies, it always looks like shit in the kitchen.
Yeah, the dishwasher at least.
The dishwasher, yeah. So I tried it like, how can I solve that in a fun way? Like, how can I make it into a game? So I came up with a system called Kitchen Reputation Points. So and I tried different experiments with how can you get people to do what you want and make a game out of it. So I tried. First iteration was just like if you've done the dishes or like put on coffee or something like that, you just get 1 point. And after a certain while, you after a few months, the one with the most points gets a PlayStation. And that worked kind of well, but it ended up with just 2 persons doing it, competing, and everyone else just dropped out.
Then there was always fresh pot of coffee.
Yeah, well, it was clean in the kitchen. But then I tried a lot of different iterations. I tried getting just like for each point you get a lottery ticket for an air balloon trip. I've tried what else? Like if you create 2 teams, you sign up for a team, and then if you do the dishes, you're allowed to participate for your team in 5 tic-tac-toe, but 5 in a row. So that was fun. So just different things, just to if you like do it, make it fun. It's a gamification is a fun way to make people do what you want them to do.
I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't take facial recognition cameras and start to play around with, automate that thing.
Yeah, I did some more high-tech version of this at Tessin, actually. I had a period in my life that I was really interested into, like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and stuff like that, and soldering and building. So I actually made a digital version of, also on GitHub, digital version of the kitchen reputation system, where I built a small device where you could, select your name and then press enter, and it would register that, X had done the dishes, and it would turn up in a Slack channel, so everybody could see that someone had done the dishes. Yeah, and so yeah, that's also open source. But I had a lot of ideas of how to evolve it, but yeah, you have to have fun. But I think okay, so that is part of culture building a little bit. But I think I like to summarize like how to build a good culture with like one word, and that's just transparency. So if you are transparent with your employees, then I think that's gonna create for a strong foundation. So like how we did it at Tessin is like simple things. We always had like TVs in every room with dashboards, like these are the goals that we're achieving, like so they in real time can follow the progress of the company.
So what are the metrics, for example? Is it how brutal transparency it is for things? Because sometimes, some things are transparent and maybe the most important things are not transparent.
Well, you want to have like actionable metrics. You can separate metrics in like vanity metrics and actionable metrics. And vanity metric is like number of users you have on the website for a given day. And those can be really fun, so you should include some of them as well. I mean, it is a nice feeling that you have like a record in a number of users for a certain day. But actionable metric could be like your conversion rate or something that you like. If we improve this metric, it's sustainable. It keeps on giving, right? So yeah, it really depends on the business, but. Try to have a good mix with vanity metrics and actionable metrics, but
did you include leading indicators as well?
No. What do you mean leading indicators? Like
sort of a trend where we're going, not just what's happening now, but like that. Okay, if we keep on doing like today, the next month or week or whatever the period, this is what's going to happen. So you can pick up stuff earlier on.
Yeah, I mean. We try to because as a company we always have like sales goals and different goals like that, or if you have taken funding, maybe you have a goal like next batch of capital is when we have achieved this amount of users. So I like to use like burn down charts, so you have a goal and you can see like where are we in terms of sales, and like you have a straight line is where you should be, and then you can either be over and under. So something like that. It's also like really nice to motivate sales, for example, to have like if somebody done a sale for a new deal, just put it on the board. Like we put Tessin has changed quite a lot since we IPO'd. So like nowadays we are because of compliance we're not allowed to be as transparent, but in the beginning we had a Slack channel with like every time somebody created a new deal in Pipedrive, it became a story, a ticket in Slack, and the whole company just joined in and to share on like good job, and that's small things like that to unify the company. So yeah, the dashboard for transparency, just as much data as you're comfortable sharing with your employees. We have like we did from the start, we've done stand-ups with the whole company, like 15-minute stand-ups for everyone, including the management, just telling what they did today and what they're gonna do, and what they did yesterday, what they're gonna do today. We did like every month we have what we call beers and brags, where like every department just have one just telling something awesome that they've done. So we've taken a lot of things from like the software world, from Agile, and just implemented it for the whole company. Take the best pieces of Scrum and OKRs and just like yeah, so I think, but yeah, just the whole transparency part. Like we also, like every month, the my co-founder Jonas, the CEO, he did like like a full report for everyone, the finances, and yeah, as much transparency as you can. That creates a really good foundation for a good culture. And then we've added some other pieces. We've tried to like have a like a theme around like healthy living. So like our kickoffs have been like climbing a mountain or going mountain biking, or it's always something like sporty adventure, and like we made a thing out of only having like healthy stuff, like avocados and fruits and berries and stuff. Some companies they hire really smart people and then they give them like sugar crap and then think that they're going to be smarter. But so we try to make thing out of that. So all those small pieces create for a good culture.
Are there any growth hacks from you for recruiting and building the company team-wise?
Well, recruiting is really hard, especially in the space that I've operated in, like technology and marketing. It's really hard. It's been becoming even harder. So one hack is to, if you find good people, make sure that they are really happy and that they stay working for you. So that's one hack, I guess. I think in terms of recruiting is hard. Like even if you have interviewed someone and you really like this person, you know, it's still a bet, right? So
what's your process? Been doing that, you know, already 3 companies and still counting. And you, I guess you've been having a lot of different processes, different ways of doing that. So what is your best practices at this point?
Yeah, so one part is just like, oh, it's a bet, and we have to work a while to make sure to see if we're a good fit. But I try to focus a lot of like, is this a good cultural fit? And we do that by. So we have like a normal interview process. We've tried to, in the beginning, all of us 3 founders at Tessin, we always interviewed everyone.
You do that separately or together?
Separately. That's definitely separately. But that is not possible anymore. There's like,
no, it's very costly as well.
Yeah, I mean, we probably have like 1 interview every day, so that's going to be too much. But nowadays we just like take if someone in the dev team, like apart from the manager, we have like another developer that does the interview, and then someone from the like complete outside of the organization. So, but yeah, I think the most important part in our process with like beyond just the normal interview process is to have a like we try to always do like a 1 full day interview day, and it's not really like an interview. It's more like hang around with the team for a day. So we start the day with like having breakfast together. And we have lunch together, and I think that is really the important part, just breaking bread together and just like, you know, do everybody get the feeling that this is a person that is going to be a good fit in the team. And then we try to so instead of just doing like whiteboarding sessions or stuff like that, we try to do a task where the whole team is involved. So we normally just work on, you know, something that we need to do, and try to involve the candidate in that process, and just try to simulate as much as possible of how it's going to be to work together. And I think that is a very, very good approach. That worked well. And Another thing is in terms of when I was working on the marketing side for Tessin, it was very difficult to find people with had any experience. Like if you know, let's say you need some experience in AdWords or Facebook or something like that. It's very difficult to get people with it's difficult to get find developers, but marketing people can be even harder. And if you find one, it's not 100% sure that they know a small piece, but that piece is going to cost you quite a lot. Like the salaries become quite high for skills that's really really not that difficult to acquire. And at Tessin, I had especially difficult with like some marketing support staff, because the domain that we're in, like finance and real estate, if you don't have an interest for that, then you're not going to enjoy creating content for it or stuff like that. So what I figured out was to just take a smart person and train them myself. So we've always had like a student trainee program with there's in the university in Stockholm, KTH. They have like a real estate engineer. Oh no, it's not. Yeah, it's real estate engineer economic real estate finance program or something like that. So we've always had like a big like 1 or 2 students from there, and many of them become employees. So and it's a tough program, and so if you can graduate from it, you're a smart person probably. I stole one of those students and just convinced this person in particular to become marketing, like have the 2 skills, like real estate and marketing, and she was really good. And so sometimes you have to develop your own talent because it's easier.
Well, how about finding co-founders? You've been building these companies, so do they find you, or do you find them, or what's the secret in that part of the company?
Finding co-founders is really it's really hard part, and a lot of companies that I coach, or like friends that a lot of times I get a like, how do I find a co-founder? Especially a technical co-founder can be really difficult. But I've been lucky, like the Offerta that I started after university, that I co-founded after university.
Can you tell actually what the company is doing? So just briefly, that
Yeah. Okay. So the first company that I participated in was when I was at university. I studied computer science in Linköping, and that was with Jonas, who is now also a co-founder of Tessin. And we did like an app store for the smartphones of that era. This is before the Apple App Store.
So it was Symbian and Nokia.
Yeah, and Sony Ericsson. So we had developers from all over the world that uploaded their software to our system. We were in an incubator in Linköping, and we had a lot of fun, learned a lot, but we had this if we build it, they will come mentality. So
they did not come.
Sorry?
Did they come?
They did not come. No, really. And I mean, okay. So a good example there is that me and Jonas, I was at the end of my studies, and he was kind of in the beginning. So we were not. We ended up for a different reason. We ended up not running that company any further. But that was the main reason. Was we were in different stages of life. I had finished. I needed to have food on the table. My wife had a job my now wife had a job in Stockholm. She wanted to move to Stockholm, and Jonas was about to go to South America. So yeah, it really a good co-founder is also someone kind of close to you in a life situation. Like if you are like one co-founder have kids, and you might want to work differently, different hours. So yeah, be in the same stage of life. So the story. Okay, so after Mobigear, after the studies in Linköping, I worked 3 years for Motorola. That's my only 3 years working for someone else. I was working with IPTV in the market and product department. I was responsible for creating interfaces for these set-top boxes, and normally the customers created their own interfaces, but when Motorola was going to trade shows, they needed to have their own interface to show what the set-top box could do. And so I was responsible for creating those demos, and went around the world to show them. So I was in every year. I had 3 shows that I needed to get stuff ready for. So it was Las Vegas for CES. It was 3GSM in Barcelona, and then one in Amsterdam. And they were like spaced out during the year, and so I had work my ass off, get to the show, present my demo like 10,000 times, go home, crash, and then start over to the next trade show. So, but it was a lot of fun, and did that for 3 years. But then another friend from Linköping, who his name is Jens. He approached me, and he had this idea for Offerta. He had been in New Zealand, and he had seen some kind of manual, like a board where people put up like I need a carpenter, or I need a cleaning person, or stuff like that. And he wanted to make it like a digital version of that. So he got together a team to do that. And first I said no, I didn't want to participate because I thought it was not interesting technical wise. But then he came to my wife's birthday party, and late at night, when having drink too much, he convinced me to join the company. And that was right after I had been at one of those trade shows, and I have like completely crashed.
So he was hacking you. He was just finding the sweet spot where you're the weakest, and you couldn't say no.
So I was really burnt out, and needed to do something else. So that's when I joined that team, and my role there was a CTO. And Offerta is this marketplace where you can get like if you need a carpenter, for example, you go there and you create your inquiry, upload some photos, and then it gets where the database with different carpenters get, and they can give you bids, and you can manage it and that sort of things. So I stayed there for 7 years as the CTO, and that's also where I really got interested in growth hacking and digital marketing, especially SEO. And we were doing SEO as a project, and I really needed to have some tools in Excel, and that's how SeoTools for Excel got started. And I just created like a new blog, and I needed to put something on the blog, so I just uploaded the tool to that blog.
To have content.
To have content, yeah, right. Just share it with the world.
Quality content.
And then like 6 months goes, and I start to hear that people are talking about this tool and like trade show at SEO conferences around the world. And there was one quite like one of the most famous SEO people. He had blogged about it and talked about it a lot. So suddenly I see a lot of traffic to my to that site, and that really gave me a lot of energy to continue working on it. Like it's as a developer, it's really fun to have people using your product, so yeah, it has been like a side gig for the last 10 years, and now a friend of mine is running it. But yeah, it's been a very successful side gig. And then so we were talking about co-founders. So yeah, so Jens was really just like a friend from university, and we've always been like common interest at university. We're talking about startups, and we've had that shared interest. It was really interesting and discussing, like when I was doing Moby Gear, there was one person that was really interested in that, and so yeah, most co-founders like that I've worked with has been friends, and
you're still friends?
Yeah, we're still friends, but I was gonna come to that, is that like, so should you start companies with your friends? And it's
trick question.
It's a very trick question, because like you see it, it's kind of, you say like having a co-founder, it's like it's married without the fucking, right? You kind of from like socializing outside of work, you stop doing that, but I mean, okay, you do a lot of socializing in work, and you go out and eat and stuff like that, but it's not really the same. It's not like you continue to do family dinners with the girlfriends, stuff like that. Of course you do some of it, but it's not the same. You're not. It's not. And also, like, after, if you don't, when you stop working together, like for all of my cases, I have had different co-founders. And you kind of like they become your ex-wife, sort of. Like you can meet, and you can be really friendly, and I have, like, Jens, for example, we have lunch a few times a year, and stuff like that, but it's not the same. It's not like we are like, I would not call him, say, should we go out to see a movie, for example. I might call him to like have a lunch and discuss some business ideas, for example, get his feedback or something. But yeah, it's so yeah, if you start companies with all of your friends, then it's the relationship changes, at least to something else. So you have to be prepared to that. But also the thing with the co-founder is you're if you don't know the person, I mean, it's not sure that you're going to work together. It's really the thing that can grow. Like, if you don't have the same attitude towards work, for example, that's really like a common thing, like how it turns bad. So let's say you always want to work a Sunday, and they are not prepared to do that, or they have kids, and my co-founders at Tessin, who is the company that came after Offerta, I co-founded that with Jonas from the Moby Gear, and a guy called Eric, and we were really in the same stages of life, and we had the same needs for and that has probably been my most successful partnership so far with Jonas and Eric. I think what made that a really strong partnership is that we are, in terms of skills, we all are like really good at our different areas. Like, Eric is a lawyer, me in like some tech and marketing, Jonas in the whole management side. Like, we've already had our domains and shared like the entrepreneurship, but yeah, we've another thing that's wrong with us is that we can say that, like, we between, maybe not today, but when we started the company, like between our three, we had all the skills to run the entire company. So let's say technical co-founder is very difficult to find, and if you have to pay for developers and that can be really expensive. But so yeah, best way to have like a core team that has the necessary skills.
What about then the financial partners? So taking other people's money, take VC or not take VC, angels. What's your take on the funding side of the company building?
Yeah, ideally you have no investors. You have to play the cards that you have. So now it would be easy for me to say that, like Tessin, for example, we took in too much capital too early.
So you mean that you diluted too much? So
yeah, we diluted too much, but we were also in the stage where, like, I had at that point I had not sold any of my Offerta shares. And I had 2 kids, and I had a house that I needed to, or an apartment it was then, I needed to pay, and so all of us were in that kind of stage where we had kids, or we had a house, we needed a salary. And that was a need from a lot. Like, if you're a student, you can live on like almost nothing, right? But if you have built up kind of a foundation, and you have bills to pay, then it's that becomes a part of the equation. So yeah, we needed to have initially have a salary, and that kind of guided us to, like, if we would be able to not take a salary, then we would probably not have to take in that much capital in the beginning, and that would have been a lot stronger, and it probably would have been better for the case in the long run, because it's the amount of equity that you have on the floor is really important for when you are trying to raise the follow-on rounds. You always have to think about the round that's coming after, so yeah, like, try to bootstrap as much as possible. For Filestar, I have a little bit different approach now. I financially in a better position, so I can bootstrap a lot of this myself. It's mainly the main competence is that's needed is development, like programming skills. So I can do a lot of the work myself, and if I need, I can outsource some parts, but I can do it. I don't have to have like Swedish developers. I've done a lot of outsourcing from other countries, and I know how to speak their language and to be really scrappy. And so I think like, if I can, my goal is with Filestar is to bootstrap through the product market fit phase, and then have if I want to go that way, I have a really strong case going forward. But yeah, so to answer your question, like, if you can, don't take any VC, but only take VC, like, if you can, take VC when you figure out the main gears of the business model, and then it's just like use it to scale up, to go faster than anyone else. But yeah, it's a difficult question, really, to, like, how much VC, and it's not like you can always choose. Like, it's a hard work to get funding. It's a lot of hard work. So a lot of people underestimated how much work it is. It can easily take 100% of your time for 6 months to get funding. So yeah, and I mean, make sure there's always a lot of talk that you're gonna get like smart money, that you're getting anything else than money. But in my experience, it's always nobody is gonna spend as much time as yourself in your business. You're always gonna be like 100% into that domain, whereas like somebody else that spends maybe 1 or 2 hours every month on your case is not gonna be able to help out that much. So I think hands-off investors are my preferred.
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word. A couple years ago, I read. So my favorite word is probably pragmatic. I try to be pragmatic in everything I do, and I read a book, really good book, called The Pragmatic Programmer. So if you're a programmer, that's like a really good book. But yeah.
So just curious, this is not a next question, but it's like, what is a idealistic programmer? Is there such a thing?
An idealist, of course there are idealistic programmers, but can I give you a good example? I don't know what that would be, but
well, let's go to the next question then. What is your least favorite word?
I have to use 2 words, but not possible. When people tell me it's not possible, it's like everything is possible. It's just amount of time. So and I think that's the strength for me, like working with developers. When they tell me that something is not possible, it's always possible. Yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I'm a very creative person. I really love to learn new things, to learn new tools on how to be creative. So like now I was at a holiday last week, and I decided to start learn like 3D modeling with Blender, and I cannot have more fun than that. Just taking a new thing and just learn. Just watching YouTube videos, tutorials, and I don't have anything I'm gonna use it for. I want to learn it. So yeah, that's really, and like in every, like if I start a new company, like a part of the decision to start that company is like, will there be new learnings for me? So then when we started testing, for example, I said, okay, this time I'm going to be the CMO because I want to learn more about that. I was into like growth hacking, and I want to deep down. And they told me, my co-founders, hey, you have to also be the CTO because otherwise we don't have a CTO. So, but yeah, so learn new things.
What turns you off?
Like I really don't like negative people. That can really drain my energy, and I get really affected by negativity. It's the easiest way to make me hostile is to be negative.
What is your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word, it has to be godverdomme. I have a Dutch, that's Dutch for damn it. I have a Dutch, my parents are from Holland. And the good thing with that word is that I can say it aloud at home, and even if my 2 kids learn it, then they can repeat it at school and nobody knows what it means. So it has a nice ring to it as well.
What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love? My oldest daughter, Julia, she's quite picky with her food, and but when she does eat something that she likes, she does this sound, and it's my grandmother did that as well. So that's really nice to hear, because then we know that she's gonna eat.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh. So I'm a really avid mountain biker, and when you have your derail or not aligned really with the whole drivetrain, it makes this, like the chain can jump from one cog to another, and it's a really annoying sound. That has to be not a good.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I think it would be really cool to be an astronaut. That I like to go to Mars. That would be really cool.
What profession would you not like to do?
I think I would be a really bad doctor. When I was younger, I was really like my father really wanted me to be a doctor, so I studied really hard and got like I had the grades to become a doctor. But then I saw like a documentary, and it was like an eye operation, and I realized I will never become a doctor because I'm in Swedish it's called äckelmagad, like squeamish, and I really can't stand like like on the movies when they cut into people.
So that was like an eye opener for you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I would be a really bad doctor because I think the inside of a human is disgusting.
If you could be a co-founder of any startup in any era, which one would you choose?
It would be I like to be part of Theranos, the blood testing company, but without the scams. I think.
So what's left?
Yeah, maybe. But I would if they would also be successful in creating the technology. I think that something I've given a lot of thought about is that like when human are able to create a technology where they can do blood testing in a way that it's easy to do like every day, and you could maybe like 3D print or exactly tell what it would be the optimal food or medicine or whatever, that would be really a game changer to human health. So they had the vision was right, but the implementation was wrong. And that would be really cool. But I would not enjoy the whole scam part.
Any final words to the audience?
Learn to code. It's never it can be useful in any profession, and it's like you can use it as a superpower. So yeah, learn to code. It's fun and useful.
Thanks so much, Niels. There was so much stuff there. We packed in 1.5 hours, so many insights and so many growth hacking stories and so many good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching as well, the audience, and till next time.